Right, so last night at the Troxy in London, Misfits boxing returned with Misfits 14. Let's speak about the card. So starting off, you had Tempo Arts against Ben Knights. This one started a lot more tentative than I thought it would. Neither man really willing to engage too early on. Both of the guys coming out with high guards, not really putting power into the punches in the first sort of round or so, especially not Ben Knights. He was throwing punches out there pretty soft in my opinion. I've seen him box before on the sort of underground circuit. I know he can obviously bang a little bit harder than that, but I feel like maybe he was trying to pace himself. Maybe he's not used to doing the 3-minute rounds. Obviously, the underground shows, the sort of HS events that he boxed on, I think they were probably 2-minute rounds. So probably trying to pace himself a little bit. But Tempo Arts has got some good skills, man. You look at his body shape, and sometimes you wouldn't think that he would be a fighter that has the ability to counterpunch, to time his opponents, and for a guy of that weight and that size, pretty good fitness levels. So I think that Tempo Arts is he's progressing quite well in his Misfits career so far. Obviously, he got the win. He dropped Ben Knights a couple of times, a couple of body shots in there. I think Ben Knights will probably be a little bit disappointed at his performance, if I'm being completely honest. But that heavyweight division is not that stacked, you know. So you could see Ben Knights come again in fights against other opponents in that weight division, and maybe he will fare a lot better than he did in the fight last night with Tempo Arts. As for Tempo Arts, he moves on to bigger and better things, I would imagine. Let's see what happens, man. I think a rematch against Chase the Moore could be on the cards. There's not, as I say, too many heavyweights on the Misfits scene, so let's see how that one progresses. Let's move on to a fight that obviously I had a lot of invested interest in, and that was Pully ARIF against the Argentinian King. Before we get into the fight, let me clear something up here, right? You guys that have watched me on the Misfits scene so far now have probably, seen me box Most Wanted. Very respectful in the build-up for that one. Most Wanted never said anything derogatory about me, never any trash talk. Of course, he said that he thought he was going to knock me out. Of course, he said that, he thinks that I didn't punch that hard and whatever. And, he said he thought he was going to win. Fine. Absolutely no problem with that, man. Really respectful. Baby Hulk said the same. Baby Hulk also said, that he thought he'd knock me out and that he'd be winning the fight and whatnot. I'm so cool with that, man. Like, I've got no problem. And that's the reason why you see me be very respectful in the build-up with, obviously, Most Wanted and with Baby Hulk himself. But the Argentinian King is slightly different. And I'll tell you why he's different. As you can hear this police siren going past my gaff. The Argentinian King, when I come out of the ring in Nashville, the Argentinian King was there, right? And the Argentinian King, when I met him that night, do you know what I thought? I thought he was lovely. Really nice fella. I come out the ring in Nashville. He asked for a picture with me. He said, can we do a face-off? I said, yeah, man, let's do a face-off, whatever. I was cool with him. He was very respectful. He was singing my praises. He was telling me he thought I was one of the more skilled guys in the tournament. I had a lot of power. Just, being nice and polite. And I was reciprocating. Is that a word? I think it is. I was reciprocating that energy, of course, because if you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect, man, of course. And I like to take people as I find them. Ultimately, though, the second Argentinian King got on a plane back to Argentina and I got on a plane back to the UK, the talking started. Not from my end. So you can imagine my surprise when the Argentinian King, all of a sudden, he's not just saying, he wants to fight me. I'm cool with that, man. I've got no problem with that. But it was disrespectful. I felt it was disrespectful, innit? I felt that he was saying a lot of shit that he never said to my face. And as I say, look, you might not believe this because I do a podcast, but I'm not really an internet person, man. If I've got something to say to you, I will say it to your face. Believe me, anyone that knows me will vouch for that. I won't do it over the internet. I'll say it to your face. So obviously, bearing in mind there's been weeks and weeks of interviews coming from the Argentinian King telling everyone that will listen how stiff I am, what a bad boxer I am, that he'll knock me out in one round. He was going to knock his opponent, Pully, out in one round, apparently. If you talk all that smack, don't get offended. Don't start, acting like a weasel when someone ends up actually putting it on you in person. Do you know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. I'm pretty happy about last night went, man. I'm not that bothered about this sort of stuff. So it is what it is. But ultimately, he did get in there. He got in there with Pully ARIF, and Pully ARIF, right, might have been almost seen at one point of a bit of like a Misfits journeyman almost, because Pully had boxed Dean, Pully had boxed Small Spartan J, and maybe a couple of others on the sort of underground, unlicensed scene, whatever, I don't really know. But either way, I'm going to be honest here, I didn't have high hopes for Pully ARIF going into this one. But Pully ARIF was pretty fucking good, man. Really good. And I got a lot of respect for Pully, man. Came in there at a couple of days' notice. Yeah, funny guy, cool guy. Really like Pully. I'll be honest about the fight. Because unlike the Argentinian king, I'm a man of my word, and I'm true to my words. And I actually don't think the Argentinian king is as bad as people were making out. I thought to have talked that much smack in the build-up, you got to be good, man. And that's why I was shouting at him ringside, saying to him, you got to be good. You got to be good if you've been talking like this. And ultimately, he wasn't that good, Argentinian king. But is he a bad fighter? No. I think the Argentinian king's pretty good, man. I think me and him's a good fight, and I'm looking forward to absolutely pummeling this fella when me and him fight. But I don't think on the night it was necessarily a robbery like a lot of people thought. The last round, so I had it sort of like 2-2, and going into the last round, I remember thinking, right, okay, whoever has a better round in this round is going to win the fight. And ultimately, I remember Argentinian King landing a couple of good left hooks in that last round. So, did I think that he would get the decision come the end of it? I did. I thought they might give it as a draw, or they might give it to the Argentinian King. But as for Pully ARIF, man, I'm really looking forward. I think that obviously he's now teamed up with Coach Soul, Fox the G, Salt Papi, them lot. He should stay with them. He should graft hard and put the work in, because I think that Pully ARIF can be a decent name in the division. So looking forward to seeing what happens with him. As for the Argentinian King, you said about doing it on Misfits 16, and then in your interview with Fred, you went and said, oh no, but I'll only fight Joey if it's in August or something like that. Listen, mate, you give it to Bigham, you came to London, you box shit. You not only did you box shit, if you were throwing the kitchen sink at Pully and your timing was off because you haven't fought in a long time, I'd forgive you. But you look tentative, you look gun shy, and you look like the first time you'd ever been in there with a back foot boxer. My God, mate. If that was your first time trying to solve that puzzle, believe me, I've solved every puzzle there is in my short career so far. So whether or not you've got more experience and have more fights than me, which obviously after last night's fight you do now have more fights than me, don't believe it if he's telling you like that was his first fight or whatever. He's a bullshitter. He told me face to face that he'd already had 12. So whether or not you've had more fights than me, you've had amateur fights, whatever, you're gonna get yourself seriously hurt when you get in a ring with me, boy. So enjoy the win, because that good feeling ain't going to last too long. Let's move on to Mist and Ryan Taylor. Really, really surprised by this one, you know. Mist just came out there with bad intentions from the first bell. And obviously, I had no doubt in the build-up that, like, you know, Mist is probably a little bit feared outside of the ring. Very well respected, you know, on the streets or whatever. But I thought that Ryan Taylor would probably edge it, because obviously he's had, 5-6 fights now or something like that. And obviously, despite Mist, obviously, yeah, you know, doing a lot of fighting on the roads and stuff like that, which he sort of alluded to in one of his interviews, I just thought boxing's a different kettle of fish. So let's see how he gets on. And ultimately, he got on very well. And Mist is now a player in that division, you know, because he beat Ryan Taylor with ease, really. You know, he knocked him down with a jab, and that was a sharp jab as well. That was a jab that he really threw the weight of his body through. So yeah, impressed by Mist. And let's see, because I feel like Mist's boxing technique will progress, and we haven't seen all that much from him just yet. I think it will get a lot better. But if he can fine tune a few of his skills, the sort of determination, the desire to fight, and the bit of ability that he's already accumulated in his short boxing career, I think the ceiling's a limit for Mist. So let's see. I know he obviously can sell a lot of tickets and bring a good crowds, and obviously his rapping career background or whatever is going to benefit him on Misfits. So really looking forward to seeing what Mist does next. Adam Brooks against King Kenny. Now let's lay it down on the line straight away. We knew that Adam Brooks was a big underdog going into this one. I really rate King Kenny, man. He had the youth on his side. He had the experience on his side, because he had boxed more than Adam Brooks, obviously. And he has a great jab, King Kenny, and I thought he also probably had that athleticism on his side. But I was impressed by Adam Brooks, because what Adam Brooks did is pretty much what it says on the tin. Adam Brooks came and gave it a go, you know. Adam Brooks was never going to talk the way he did and you know, do a good job in selling the fight the way he did and then come in there and lie down. Adam was always going to come and fight with his heart on his sleeve, and that was what he did. But ultimately got in there against a guy that, in hindsight, I think even Adam would probably look back on and say, yeah, it was he was a little bit overmatched. I'm not calling it a mismatch because he landed punches on King Kenny and he had a good go, but he was overmatched in that fight. King Kenny's going to go on to bigger and better things, obviously. Obviously, he was speaking about a fight with Salt Papi, who came through in the main event. And as for Adam Brooks, I would love to see Adam Brooks in there with like a Whindersson Nunes, someone like that. Even the guy that beat Whindersson Nunes on the Prime card, was it my mate Nate? Adam can probably stand in there and bang with the best of them. So I think his boxing technique is still coming on. Do I put Adam at the top of the division with the likes of a King Kenny and a Salt Papi? Not at this moment in time, I don't. But I tell you what, Adam Brooks fights the way that fans want to see, which is, come out there all guns blazing. And I think you see Adam Brooks in some really, really good fights with a lot of good fighters. So hopefully he's got the fire in his belly to come back and go again. And I'll be wishing him all the best as his career goes forward. Barbie against Julie Poker. Do you know, Barbie reminds me of Delphine Passoon. Anyone remember Delphine Passoon? She was the girl that boxed Katie Taylor. I think she even had a rematch with Katie Taylor. She boxed Katie Taylor for the first time on the Anthony Joshua against Andy Ruiz card at Madison Square Gardens, when Joshua obviously famously lost for the first time. And what I mean when I say that Barbie reminds me of Delphine Passoon is the technique's not great, but she's just such a natural big fighter at that weight, such a bully and able to impose her size and physicality upon opponents, that what she lacks in actual technical ability and technique, she makes up for in strength, in determination, and in just horrible, horrible ruggedness. But in Julie Poker, she got in there with a girl who knows how to box, with a girl with very good timing, counter-punching, and is also not scared to stand and bang with you. And I think that this was the first time that we actually saw Barbie almost malfunction a little bit at times. Of course, she pushed Julie Poker back and she had a bit of success in doing so, but Julie Poker's timing, her counters, her hooks were very sharp, and ultimately she got the win against Barbie. Main event, Salt Papi against Amadeus Ferrari. I think I've got it. I think I've got that one right. Really, really happy to see Salt Papi come in back into this fight. And I think after, Mams admitting himself that there had been probably mistakes in guiding Salt Papi's career so far, maybe in how early on he was matched up against Anthony Taylor. And obviously the Slim fight I don't think was a mistake. I don't think that at all, because I think that there were two guys of a similar level, and that one could have gone either way. It was going either way until Slim finished it, both men having success. So I don't think that was a bad matchup. The Anthony Taylor one, very possibly, but I think that this matchup in Amadeus Ferrari was perfect. Salt Papi was in there with a guy with a lot of determination, with a lot of just fiery explosiveness, not only in his boxing, but also just in his presence. Amadeus Ferrari is probably a guy that if you're not mentally strong, if you're vulnerable up here in the slightest, this guy's going to get to you. And obviously we see him slap Anthony Taylor at the weigh-in or the press conference this week. He was a rugged competitor who was coming in there with nasty intentions. And obviously, Salt Papi, the more skillful out of the two of them. I thought some of Salt Papi's work was very good on the night. Amadeus Ferrari didn't really look like a natural boxer. Obviously, I think he comes from an MMA background, but still a strong guy. Still a very hungry and determined guy, and a guy that we could see in there with a lot of guys in that weight division. He could probably do good things. But Salt Papi coming through this one, showing a lot of good boxing skill. He probably would have hoped for more of a highlight reel finish than he was able to get. Obviously, Amadeus Ferrari being counted out in the end. So let's see what happens with Salt Papi next. Should the King Kenny fight happen next? Calls for the fans. They'd want to see that one next. I don't know who I'd even make as a favourite in that one, but I think that maybe, if I'm being honest, I think that Salt Papi could do with one more fight before, he was coming back from a knockout loss, and to come back in and take that sort of fight straight away has got to be commended. Salt Papi's got a lot of bottle, and he backs his ability, so I definitely think that he can be in good fights coming up. Who would I like to see him in there with? Well, I said it before. I'd quite like to see him in there with maybe an OJ Rose, who I know has actually got a fight. Ashley Raksu, I think that would be another good one. See him last night. He's a good guy. So, yeah, let's see, man. Let's see where it progresses from here. And if you're a Misfits fan, you ain't got long to wait, man. You've got a couple of weeks, and then we've got another show out in Texas. I'm not going to that one, but I will be watching along. I think I'll try and do one of these sort of watch-alongs, maybe on the clips that get posted on TikTok, Instagram, or something like that. Maybe do the watch-along off of this channel. So let me know in the comment section below if you want to see that. Thank you very much to everyone who's been patient with me because I haven't posted a video off of this channel in quite a while, but we got a big week coming up, man. Fury against Usyk. We're going to be doing the live stream on the Pain Game. Myself, Brian, Lawrence Arswecki, a few of us guys will be on watching the fight live, having a few drinks, and breaking down the Usyk Fury fight live next Saturday night. So make sure you're there. I will be smashing out a lot of content this week around that fight. I can't wait for that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on everything that happened in last night's Misfits show, and I will see you all in the next one.